Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. Okay, so hey, there are times when we all could use a little extra help and support in our lives. Whether there's something you're struggling with or just seeking connection with other people who understand what it's like to be in your situation, Inovia Behavioral Health can help. Inovia is a subscription-based organization that provides unlimited access to a wide variety of educational, experiential, and therapeutic support groups that are led by live expert facilitators. Now, you can get 20% off your membership with the discount code Cookbook20 when you subscribe. Check it out today at InoviaBH.com. Inovia, feel better. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cookbook. I am your host, Iris Goldfeder, and I'm excited about my guest today. We met a couple of weeks ago, and I think you're going to love Carol. I think she's pretty cool and pretty interesting. So I'm just going to read her bio, and then we're going to bring her in. All right. Carol Parrish is a financial advisor who serves as a friendly financial air traffic controller. I love that. For her clients. Your financial life is like an airport with airplanes taking off, landing, and flying in multiple directions under ever-changing circumstances. She manages the air traffic to create a customized flight plan, guiding powerful women to their ideal destinations. That already sounds badass. All right. After working in college sports marketing for 13 years, Carol jumped into financial services, another male-dominated field, and quickly realized the need for change around women and money. And we all know how true that is. She is passionate about helping women ditch the negative thoughts, judgments, and stress about money, often created by men, and teach them to use their wealth as a tool to live a life they enjoy. Carol's interest in manufacturing and engineering began at an early age, growing up with her engineer father, who ran a plate glass plant, and her twin brother, who became an engineer and now helps build handheld ultrasounds. And we all know how near and dear engineers are because my wife is an engineer. So Carol is a financial advisor who holds her Retirement Investment Certified Professional Designation, RICP, her Series 66 registration, and her life and health insurance licenses. Before that, she earned her bachelor's degree in accounting from the University of Washington and her master's degree in sports management at the Ohio State University. In her spare time, she enjoys spending time with her family, which usually involves watching or playing softball, basketball, or football. Oh, we're going to have to talk about football. All right. So without further ado, let's bring on Carol. Hey, Carol.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. So who I know when this airs, the Super Bowl is going to be done and won at this point. So who are you thinking?
I'm hoping for anybody except the 49ers because I'm a Seahawks fan and my husband works for the Seahawks, so we root against the 49ers.
Okay.
Maybe the Bengals. Right. I would like the Bengals because it'd be nice to have a new team in the Super Bowl.
Well, there you go. And I'm kind of agreeing. I think it's going to be the Bengals and the Eagles if I have my conferences right. That's how I think it's going to go. I was hoping for the Bills just because it's the New Yorker in me. And after the DeMar Hamlin thing, I was really rooting for them. But that was a shit show. But anyway, it was sad. It was hard to watch.
But he's up and moving now. And he was at the facility this weekend to talk to the team before their game too.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't mean that was a shit show. That was traumatic.
Oh, the whole thing. Yeah.
That whole thing was traumatic, but the game itself was a shit show. We were just sitting there watching, and finally I was like, we got to turn this off. I can't.
Yeah. Well, thankfully the NFL realized they had no business continuing the game.
Well, on that game between the original game when DeMar went down, we were watching it, and one of my guests last week, we were talking about they weren't prepared to handle something like that. Like, you know, they were medically prepared. You know, they have the ambulance there and they have a full team, but the sportscasters were not prepared to talk about it because and I forgot her name, and Frank knew her name, but you know, when they were switching to the studio, they were gobsmacked. They had no idea what to talk about, what to say, how to handle it, how to move forward, and that was painful to watch. I felt so bad for them because it was kind of like, well, hopefully they're not gonna play, and it was rough. But
I think they're human too, and trying to deal with their emotions through all of it as well, I think was the biggest challenge of all.
Well, yeah. Nobody ever expects that. And as viewers, I mean, we were traumatized because, watching it and going, wait a minute, what the heck is going on?
Yeah,
I think a lot of people were just thrown. But yeah, they weren't, nobody was prepared for it. So, but yes, it's a great outcome. He is doing, thank God he's alive.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
So, but, okay. So totally off track, but, I saw the sports thing and it was just like,
I know. Well, your producer and I were talking sports while you were working on your
I know the White Sox, which is just a whole nother story, but so I always thought that he had a Yankees hat on, and we were in New York and we went to Yankee Stadium. I brought him back a Yankees hat and he was like, yeah, I'm not wearing this. I'm like, you have to wear it. It's like from Yankee Stadium. And he's like, I'm a Sox fan. And I was like, oh, So
I'm Mariners, so we all root against each other.
Oh man, this is like
American League. Yeah, hey, that's all right. We can all get along.
Exactly, 100%. So okay, so let's talk about you. So air traffic controller. Fine. I mean, I absolutely love that. So let's talk about what you do. Like, why air traffic controller?
Well, I work a lot with women in aerospace. In my bio, you kind of touched on some of the engineering and manufacturing, but when I was trying to think of a way to describe what I do, most people hear financial advisor and think, wah, wah, that's boring, or it means 3 million different things to people. So, but everybody has a picture of what air traffic controllers do, and basically they keep all the different planes from crashing. And so when you think about everything that goes on in your financial life, from saving for retirement to paying, having cash flow in and out of your household and your savings account, everything is taking off and landing at different times, and it's different conditions and weather. So sometimes it's stormy, sometimes the economy is good. And so it really reminded me of planes taking off and landing, and I kind of serve as the air traffic controller to make sure they don't crash. And sometimes I handle the logistics of all the planes, and sometimes I don't. It kind of depends on the relationship I have with the client. So
who is your ideal client?
My ideal client is, and you mentioned in the bio, but I really love working with women, and I have male clients, but in particular, women started behind the game in the first place, and a lot of times just have not been treated with respect, or they're so busy trying to juggle family and taking kids to practice and what's for dinner and how do I work myself up in my career, that they just neglect their finances. So that's where I want to come in and help build their confidence up so that they can be financially free, not feel judged or made to feel stupid, and just be able to excel and live the life that they want, building that wealth, while they're doing well in most of the other areas of their life. So I want to help them there. And a lot of times it's women who have had some success in their career and have worked their way up, and they just either haven't known where to start, haven't had time to start, or don't know who to trust. And that's a big factor too, because if you're going to talk to somebody about your money, you better get along with them, and you better like spending time with them and trusting them.
Yeah, 100%. And it's true. A lot of, or I'm going to say less now, because I think there's so many more women entrepreneurs now, right? That,
Absolutely.
yeah, and it's great to see. I mean, it's being one, um, you know, we know the struggles that we had, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about that as we go on. But whenever I hear of a new, woman entrepreneur, or a new, woman starting their business, I get so excited, because when a woman heads a business, it is different than when a guy heads a business. There's, we're different. There, we have different outlooks on things, and I think we handle things a little bit differently. I think a little bit more empathetically, and not to put guys down. We love guys.
I get it. I get it.
I just want to throw that out there, that, I mean, it has
We're not
nothing.
male bashing.
We're not male bashing.
No.
And, we joke, I have a wife, but I still like guys. Not, well, you know what I mean? I don't hate men.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. There's just no good way to, but at the end of the day, it's true. Men were raised way, differently than women. It's, you have a brother and a sister in the house. They're raised differently. They're told different things. So, when we become business owners, I think the first, one of the first things that I was told was, you have to think like a man. And I remember going, like, what does that even mean? Like, what am I supposed to, and then, of course, it would be like, well, you probably already think like a man. And it was like, I don't even know what the hell that's supposed to mean. So, but, as I started in my first business, I started seeing what they were talking about. And it was like, I don't want to be like that. Not that guys are running businesses wrong, but they're running them differently than I would, or some of them, not everybody. And then when I finally grew into myself, and I saw the way that I want things to be and how I want to be with people. And I mean, full transparency, I can be an asshole at times. I mean,
I think we all can.
I think we all can, right? But and sometimes I don't even realize it. Yeah. I said something to Kofi last week, and he was like, well, that was shitty. And I went, oh, I didn't mean it like that, but I definitely could have said something, differently. Right. Yeah. But we learn from it.
Right.
And we go, okay, I'm never going to say that again, or I'm going to be a bit more cognizant. So do you find that the women that come to you, do they have some idea on what they're doing, or are they completely just like floundering? They're like, holy shit, this is a lot. Help me.
It's a little bit of both, actually. I think of two women off the top of my head right now, and one who I just met with last week, and she had a very good handle on her finances and had done a good job saving, but really didn't know what she didn't know. And she had some very specific goals of things that she wanted to do. And really, she came to me because she had her heart set on buying a dream house. It came on the market. We had met through some aerospace groups, and so we had built a relationship, and the timing was right. And we started looking at her whole financial picture, and she had done a lot of good things, but we were trying to look at some different, could we make it work? Could she actually afford this house and still be able to support her family and do the things she wanted to do in the future? And we made a few changes, but we were able to say, okay, some of these things you're already doing are great, but we recommend you, based on what your goals are and the way you like to handle things, we recommend this. Then I have another client who is a very successful realtor and a very good entrepreneur. She's a marketing genius. She's great with people. She is very good at making money, but she never ever wants to look at an Excel spreadsheet in her life. She has never invested in the stock market.
Yeah.
She's raising 4 kids. She's the breadwinner of her family. So for her, we really were starting, except for her generating income, we were starting from scratch.
Wow.
And we were looking at everything from, you're the breadwinner, you're the one making money for 5 other people in your family. Are you protected if anything happens to you? You know, what's going to happen to your family? Because that was something she had never even thought about.
Wow.
She has since bought another house and is renting another one. We've talked about investing, but to your point about being an entrepreneur, one of the things that we talk to our clients about, there's no right or wrong way to become financially free. What works for one person is different for another person.
Right.
So she, for example, like people that say, oh, I want to lose weight. You know, we're in January, so everybody's making all these resolutions, but I want to lose weight. Well, somebody could go on a liquid diet and that's like the best thing for them. For someone else, if they can't stand drinking anything or like food, that's not going to happen. You know, it's not going to work.
Right.
So there's 10 million different ways to lose weight. And the same thing comes with your finances. Maybe not 10 million different ways, but there's so many different ways. And what works for one person may not be the right fit for another one. And same in running a business. So that's a long answer to your question, but it's across the board. And for some people, it could be they may feel pretty, you know, financially confident, but they don't want to spend the time on it. They want somebody else to manage things for them. They want someone to hold them accountable, instead of completely doing it themselves. So,
yeah. And that makes sense. And I know a lot of people that don't even want to touch it. Like my wife has, her best friend's mom worked for one of the big houses. I don't know. And she handles everything. And she's not even looking at her stocks now. She's like, I'm going to throw up. So I'm just not even going to look. And
I have clients like that too.
I'll wait until it's on the upswing and then, you know, whatever.
Now, with that being said, though, we do always recommend that partners, even if one partner is kind of the main, like the gatekeeper, the person that focuses on the finances, we still recommend that those two people are having regular conversations and that the other person has an idea of where things are, what the big picture is, what the plans are, especially if something happens to that other person. Because, and I mean, I'm married and camera just went down. We don't always see eye to eye on things, but we still try to keep each other in the loop. And if there's no communication, it's really hard to stay on the same page. And so a lot of times we're brought in to help facilitate those conversations too.
Ah, okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, we always, you know, talk about, you know, where things are. And, you know, we actually went on, and this is going to sound crazy, but we went on our first vacation ever in November. We went to Hawaii. And it was our first vacation because anytime she gets time off of work, like she only had 2 weeks, then she only had 3 weeks. So it was visiting family. My family is in New York. Hers is in Pittsburgh. Any trips that we went on were business trips.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we took a vacation and, you know, I mean, Hawaii's not cheap, but we're going to, we're going again in 18 months. Well, now probably less than 18 months, like in another, you know, year or so, because it was amazing. And when we were there, it was funny because I remember everything's like freaking expensive. You know, you don't think about it because they're flying. Like food was insane. We weren't even thinking about that. And it was like, wait a minute, how much was it? You know, but we were able to do it. We had an amazing time. And like I said, we're going to go back. And we fell into the trap, you know, when they're like, hey, the concierge has a free gift for you. It's a trap. Don't go unless you want to buy some kind of a
Timeshare.
timeshare or like a holiday whatever. That was
Yeah.
hilarious. Um, but yeah, but we do talk, and I do know that a lot of couples don't. That
Yeah.
there's always one that handles the money, and then one who's just like, okay, well, just whatever. And it is important that you have those conversations because you're right. God forbid something happens. Where are you?
Yeah.
Although we have a joke
One.
that
Oh, go ahead, Iris.
no, a family friend who's also our tax person who does our taxes. Um, Heather's like, Sandy has her instructions. So,
Yeah.
because I'm the one who will spend quicker than save, and she's more
Yeah.
responsible than I am with that. And I freely admit that. So,
Yeah. But ideally, the two of you or other people that are, before even getting into the planning, it's thinking about what that future vision is and what you want things to look like down the road, but also what do you want your life to look like now? And the wealth and the money is just a tool for you guys to live how you want. Do you want to go to Hawaii every year? Great. If you don't, that's okay too. If I talked to a woman who, when she retired, wanted to buy a food truck and start a paleo food truck because you never find a paleo food truck. It's all fried foods and burgers and things like that. And
yep,
like that was her dream. So the steps that you're taking in the process is to ultimately help you to live the way that you want. And that's not up to me or
right,
any other advisor that's helping. Our job is just to help you get there.
right.
It's not for us to say, well, you should have this much and this is what you should do in retirement and this is when you should retire because everybody else is retiring at this age.
Yeah.
So
I don't think I'll ever.
yeah.
I think I'll retire, but I think I'll probably end up doing consulting. I can't see me like now. I just can't see me not working.
Well, and we use the term retire loosely as like not needing to work anymore financially. So you may
Gotcha.
choose to work,
Right.
but
But you
not
don't have to.
necessarily have to.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
And I know a lot of people now that's like, if they're healthy, they expect to keep doing something for a long time.
oh yeah.
So
I really feel that if I stopped, I just don't think it would. I can play golf and I can do all the things that people
sure.
talk about doing and travel, but I really think that my brain would like explode if I wasn't doing something. So
We don't want that. Don't want that.
no, no. So, what made you decide to become an entrepreneur?
That's a good question. And to be honest, I never really pictured myself in that role. I mean, all of my jobs, which there weren't a ton of different positions, because I stayed in a lot of them for a while, but I was used to having a salaried position. And once I got into financial services and realized the need that there was, I also got to the point where I realized that by becoming an entrepreneur, I could have more of an impact on people, but B, nobody could tell me how much I could make. Like I can make as much as I want or as little as I want. I have the independence. So if I need to pick up my son at school, or today, for example, I had to take him to the orthodontist because one of his new brackets fell off. I literally could run him to the ortho in the middle of the day and still come back and do what I needed to.
Right.
So it's really when I got hired in financial services, my boss said the 3 I's: impact, independence, and income. And those, to this day, those are still the three things that keep me going, especially the impact and the independence.
Right.
But it is a little scary it's not as much now, but realizing that the only way I make money is if I'm out generating business.
Right. And
So
that's
that
the
was a big
kicker.
change. Yeah.
That's the kicker, right? Because you're like, when you're sick, you can't call in and have a sick day.
No.
If you're sick and you're not working, you're losing money that day. It is
Right.
what it is.
Right.
I used to push through it and try and work, but now I don't. If I'm sick, I
Yeah.
just because you push through and then you're sick for another 3 days, and
Yeah.
so. But
that's something you have to learn through the
yeah,
process too.
yeah.
So
I remember.
thankfully enough people we can talk to get input on becoming an entrepreneur now. And now we
Right.
share what we've learned with other people. So
Right. I mean, that's what this
yeah.
is about, right?
Yeah.
This podcast is about all that. I mean,
Yeah.
when it was funny because I remember when we started the business, the first 6 months were amazing. It was just like, people were like, oh my God, you're in your own business again. I want to work with you. Blah, 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 blah. I had all these clients.
Yeah.
And then I had to have shoulder surgery.
Oh.
And I was down for 2 months and my pipeline disappeared. It just like, went into the ether. Because the first month and a half I was on pain medicine.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't, I'd be talking to clients, hey, and Heather's like, the phone, you should not be talking. I think you're going to give shit away.
No. Well, and most people that go in, like start their own business, it's because they have a particular skill that they are very good at. They're an expert in that field. But most of those people don't have experience running a business. And they don't know about operations. They don't know about profit and loss statements. They don't know about sales and marketing or hiring and HR and things like that are all part of running a business. They just they're just an expert in one area. And then all of a sudden the fire hose is turned on and it's like
all
and it all happens
to
at
the
once.
surface.
Exactly. So
and it's kind of like, oh my God, now what? And we got through it obviously, but so what advice do you have for somebody who's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur? That's a pretty funny laugh.
I don't know. That was kind of a wicked little laugh.
It was.
I think, well, now that I've done it, I think if people and especially women want to do this or become an entrepreneur, I am all for it. I honestly, I feel like I had other people feel, I'm not articulating this very well, but there were some people that I feel like had more belief in me than I did in myself for a little while. And once I, overcame that imposter syndrome and realized that absolutely I could do this, there was like no looking back from there. And so I really encourage women and men to go for it. But to have somewhat of a plan laid out and realize that there is more to running a business than just that specific skill. Talk to people and continue to learn because you can avoid some mistakes by listening to them, but also realize that you won't be successful without having mistakes. You're going to make mistakes, and that's just part of the process. So realize maybe how much you're willing to invest up front, because most businesses aren't going to be started, can't be started without some sort of investment. Some can, but that's a big one. And be clear about that with your partner too.
Right.
Not that I learned that the hard, So, but yes, that was something I did learn, was to try to be clear about that up front and have kind of set benchmarks and things too. So,
yeah. And it's good when your partner has buy-in. I remember my wife has been so supportive, through the muck, through all of it, thank God, she makes a good living. So we weren't that hurt when,
Yeah.
there were lean months, but she was just has always been very supportive. And so I'm very fortunate, in that area. And there are some people
Yeah.
out there that don't, their spouses are going to be like, get your ass out there and figure something out until you
Yeah.
figure it out, so.
But my
So
spouse doesn't have an entrepreneurial bone in his body. So, so sometimes it's a challenge, but we've worked our way through it. So,
and that's important. Right. So do you ever miss corporate?
well, and I would say I wasn't necessarily, well, I did have some corporate, but when I worked at the University of Washington, which was actually more government,
Okay.
because it was a public university, even in the athletic department, I miss some of that because I got to do some pretty amazing things and meet some very cool people. However, I worked my ass off for not very much money, and it was an absolute lifestyle. And trying to start a family and raise a family was a little bit challenging. And with my husband working in sports too, that became challenging. So I don't miss that. I get to choose when I want to attend sporting events now instead of being forced to be there. There was also plenty of red tape working for a university, as like any big corporation. And then working for a Fortune 500 financial company, there was plenty of red tape there too. And no, I don't miss it. I really loved working in sports. I mean, I really did. But now it took getting laid off for me to get out of my comfort zone and realize like what I'm doing now is really what I'm the most passionate about. So it's, they say hindsight's 2020, and I know there's a lot of layoffs in the tech industry right now, and I can feel the pain, but it's turned out to be a blessing in disguise for me. Absolutely. So
good. That's
don't
cool.
miss it. And the sky's the limit now. So
That's it, right? I mean, you can do what you want. I always say, we're willing to work, 100 hours for ourselves as opposed to 40 hours for somebody or 60, 70 hours, right, for somebody else at the end of the day.
But I can relate to what people have gone through. And my experience, I mean, I was actually really lucky. My experiences weren't like bad.
Mhm.
Just what I'm doing now is better.
And and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so, it's funny because I remember when I was working, in corporate and for different companies, there's always that safety net and the stability of the paycheck coming in and the insurance and all of that stuff, right? And so that, I think, I don't miss the insurance because I get insurance through my wife, but I do miss because I work out of my house 90% of the time. So the one thing that I do miss people around. And where do we go? That was weird. Are you there?
Yeah, I
Okay,
am now. We froze for a little bit.
that was weird.
Speaking of working at home.
I know, right? There's like always, and it's funny because I do the podcast from home, and then you'll hear the dogs barking in the background sometime. My friend Fabienne was on, and she has her son Theo, and Theo's young, and she started the before we started. She said, I know that this is supposed to be an hour, but we're probably only going to be able to do a half hour because that's about all that he has. And I said, bring him on. And she said, what do you mean? I said, this is my show. He can hang from the rafters if I don't care, And she was like, really? And so he came in and he was picking out Christmas presents while, on his iPad while she was talking. And to me, it was just so much fun. And, I think for me, well, this is my passion project. This is obviously not my job, but the fact that, I can be like, anything goes. Your kid wants to be on, fine. Your dog is
Yeah.
barking, whatever. I mean, it's life. We're working
Yeah.
from home, and COVID did that, right? COVID let us.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the positives that came out of COVID. I mean, there
Yeah,
weren't very many, but that's definitely one, as people realize that, yeah, we're human and we have other lives. And
yeah,
guess what? It's not the end of the world to actually expose that and show people things
right.
and be authentic and real.
Oh my God, authentic. Well, it was so funny because like that was the theme word for 2022 for everybody. I think was we're going
Yeah.
to be our authentic selves, and
Yes.
one of my missions with my clients is, I really want to help you find your authentic voice and
Yeah.
then market to that because,
Yeah.
when we're not authentic and we put on this persona, that's who we attract. We attract those people that are
Yeah.
attracted to the persona, not us. So then when they meet the real us, they're like, oh, that's not what I signed up for.
No.
So now
No.
it's just like, you be yourself and, the right people come to you. My friend Michelle was laughing because in one of the episodes, we were talking about how, um, you know, you're working with these people and, after a while you realize that they didn't know you.
Yeah.
So they really didn't want to work with you. And then, it was like, well, fine, then you're not my fucking people. You're not my
Hmm.
people. You're not the right person I'm
No.
supposed to work with. So, bring it on. But it's true. The clients that I have now they know me. They know who I am. They love, I mean, that's why they're working with me is
Yeah.
because they're working with me. So,
That's one of my favorite parts about my job is I'm getting to know them, but I'm getting to know their families.
yep.
And in the span of about 1 month late last year, one client had their first child, one client got married, and another client lost his wife. And it just reminded me of the cycle of life. And the reason that I do what I do is to help them and prepare them for all these things. And, I know so and so likes, she's a shoe person.
Right.
She loves to buy shoes. Someone else has snowmobiles and boats, and someone else, loves to cook.
Right.
And just really getting to know the nitty gritty about them. It's amazing. That's why I do what I do.
Yeah. And they're not just like a name in a CRM, right?
No,
Because when you're
no.
working with a company, it's like, and you're doing sales, especially, it's like, okay, so, Bill Johnson, his wife is Susie, his kids are Billy and Jenny, and,
Hmm.
whatever. And you go on and you have to memorize that stuff because you have to. But when you're working like this and you're working with people, it's a relationship
It
and you
is.
don't have to do anything. You
No.
want to. And so,
Yeah.
um, so it's really cool. I love that piece of it as well.
Yeah.
So what advice? So there are seasoned entrepreneurs listening, right? And we've all been
Yes.
through obstacles, and they're going through stuff. What is something that you've come through the other side of that somebody might be going through now?
As far as entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
um, well, I've made it through hopefully the biggest part of COVID. I guess we never really know, right? Nobody expected I shouldn't even say national, a global
Yeah. No
pandemic,
kidding. Yeah.
um, which actually brought the importance of my work even like to light there. But um, I am in, like, I guess my fifth year now as an advisor, and there's definitely ups and downs. I mean, just realizing that, there's ups and downs of all of this, and I feel like I'm continuing to come out on top when there's times where I feel like I've been punched in the gut and got a black eye, that, things I thought were done deals maybe weren't, or the market downturns have affected people, and which affect me, etc. But that's why we do the planning too, because it's all big picture. um, I think for me those are kind of two of the the biggest things. But I'm sure there's more to come since I'm still relatively new as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So,
Well, cool. Yeah, because
what's one of your biggest lessons
um,
or your obstacles that you overcame?
whew. Um, I think one of the biggest was imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Um, and it's so funny because I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know. Do you know Jen Koken?
I have heard her name, and I'm supposed to be on a Dame's call that she's leading in a couple of weeks. So.
Okay, so she is phenomenal, and she did this thing on imposter syndrome. I didn't do her her course, but I heard her talking about imposter syndrome, and a lot of people that I know, and actually my clients are coaches, and one of the things we touched on last year, big time, was imposter syndrome. And I remember, I started. I've had this business for 9 years, but I kind of took a break and had a partnership with somebody else for 3 years that, it ended. And when I came out of it, I had the holy shit, can I still do this moment, right? Which was scary because, it was just like one of those, okay, I know my shit. I've been successful before. I got this. And Kofi, God bless him, because he was like, Iris, come on, you got this. But I would say that my biggest obstacle last year was imposter syndrome, and it lasted about 3 months. But when it went away, it was gone. It was just like gone because I proved to myself. I would be in a meeting. I'll never forget. I was in the meeting with this prospective client, and I'm helping him strategize with something, and we're talking. And as we're talking, I'm going, "Yeah, dummy, you know your shit," And it was just one of those like really affirming moments. And I was like, "Why did I doubt and I know why I doubted myself, right?" But once I didn't, it was like, bring it, let's go. And it's been great. I mean, this year already, I've signed like 4 new clients in the past. What are we like in the third week, the last week of January?
Awesome.
Yeah, it's just been
I think
great.
we've all had. I mean, I definitely had that early on, and I feel like we all have had our doubts. And I remember someone saying to me when I first became an advisor, though, and I haven't forgotten this, is that we don't need to know everything.
Right.
We just need to know more than the people that we're helping.
Exactly. And, that's actually really good.
And we also, I mean, there's no way we're going to know everything, but knowing where to go to ask questions and get more information, or not being afraid to admit when we don't know something too. Right. Instead of like blowing smoke out of our ass and just making something up, which
but honestly, that's where the authenticity
a lot of people
in.
do.
Right. But that's where the authenticity comes in. I had, and my clients know, and anybody who knows me, like, I'm not a different work person. I am who I am. Right. Yeah. It is what it is. And I am the first to admit when I fucked something up, like the first. I sent a proposal out last week. It was so funny. And we had a conversation. I'm writing up the proposal. I'm looking at it. I had my wife look at it. I looked at it again. I had her look at it again. I had somebody else look at it because this was like, I wanted to make sure 100%. Anyway, long story short, I send it. I wake up at 3:00 in the morning going, shit, I forgot to put this in. So I send him a text the next morning, and I'm like, can we hop on like a 10-minute call? There's just, there was something that I added that we spoke about the first time, but we didn't talk about our, last conversation that I added. And then there was something that I forgot. And he was like, yeah, I have time tomorrow. And then I was talking to him and I said, okay, so I added this and I, whatever. And he said, thanks for being transparent. And I said, I'll always be transparent. He goes, yeah, but when people make a mistake, they're not so quick to, and I'm like, I'm the first person because,
Yeah.
I mean, we're all human and we all make mistakes, but it's those 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh shit. Minutes that, that's when
So
everything gets real.
so you would like, I think I have the mirrored thing on, but you would like, yeah, it's showing, but you can't
I
read.
bought those for,
Oh, did I? I can't
shut
remember if I
up.
told you about them or not, but for your listeners, I got a gift for Christmas that was my little bag of sweary affirmations,
Look at
and
these.
they're amazing.
I'm sending these I bought these to
I
send
love it.
to certain dames and friends of mine.
Awesome. They're so good.
Are they
So,
the best? I mean, yes.
where did you get them? Because I got mine as a gift. So,
I saw them on, was it Instagram? It was on one of those
okay.
things, and I saw it, and I bought 20 because
Okay. That's what I'm going
there's
to do.
just certain people that I probably have. I'll send you the info because I have it on the bag. But I bought those for Christmas gifts, and I haven't had a chance to send them out, so I'm just going to send them.
It was
It's so funny
I
that
got it for a Christmas gift.
It is so funny that you pulled that out because Heather's like,
Yeah.
"What are these?" And she went through them, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Wow." I'm like, "But these are perfect for the women I'm sending them
I
to.
know.
It's because they are sweary after, like, you are
They
fucking
are.
badass. You
Yeah.
are, you know."
And sometimes sometimes I'll just keep one or two out as a reminder that like really resonate me, and I'm like, yeah, that's right, I am, and I can do this.
Do you know
So,
what my biggest affirmation was in 2021 and 2020? Have you ever heard Lizzo's song "Truth Hurts"?
oh yeah,
Okay, I'm 100%
yes,
that bitch. This is my
not
affirmation: strong, confident, 100% that bitch. And I have
nice.
that right here because I have like a bunch of post-its for you people listening, and you can't see this. I just
So that
held
could
up.
be like your intro song when you come into the
So here's the
podcast.
thing, because I don't know if you've seen the podcast, but there's like a rock intro. I would have to get like, you know, permissions and all that
Oh
and not get
yeah,
sued. Oh yeah, I would get
that's
like
true.
sued. Although if she met me, she'd be like, "You 100% that bitch. You can use my
Yeah,
song." But yeah, but she helped me. That song really was part of helping me get through all of the crap that I was going through, because it was like, wait a minute, you are strong. You are this.
yeah,
You are that. You can get through anything. And we have, my wife and I have a Ring video. We were both having a bad day, and we played that, and we just blasted it in our living room. Not a Ring video, Comcast, whatever it is.
sure,
And we saved it, and we just watch it and laugh
nice,
in our pajamas, walking around. "I just took a
excellent.
DNA, so,
Yeah, I
but
love
anyway,
that. I love that.
yeah. And what I find is a lot of women have been held down by the notion that they can't succeed. There are so many successful women out there in history that we don't know about. And you open up Facebook and you'll see people posting about all of these women who, were the main engineer of this that never got mentioned. They were the
Mm-hmm.
main creator of this that never got any kind of mention. And now they're getting mentioned. And now I think we're really embracing our power because we have
Yeah.
power, right? And that's why I think we're seeing, more women entrepreneurs, is because they're going, wait a minute, I can do
Yeah.
this. I'm going to do this. And
Well,
they're
and
doing
I'll tell you, legally, it wasn't, I mean, it's probably only been 40, I don't know, 40 years at most. Like women didn't even used to be able to go into a bank and get a business loan without a man's signature.
They couldn't get a credit card.
Couldn't get a credit card. So how are they
Yep.
supposed to do all these things when they can't even get the funding now, which made us start behind anyway? And
Right.
now women are trying to catch up and it's getting better, but there's obviously still a lot to do. And it's not just women. I mean, obviously there's other audiences that started behind too. So we're trying to play catch up right now. And
Right.
so this whole
It,
empowerment thing is real. It's like, I can
yeah.
do it.
Oh, 100%. It's the whole diverse thing. It's, it's all the diversities in the rainbow. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
So, what What is your differentiator?
I'm like Lizzo and you. No.
Sing it with me. I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100%.
I
Okay, good.
won't sound as good as you. I'm probably
Uh,
a better dancer than a singer, but
we can talk it, but
yeah. So I would say, well, I think there's a number of things, but my business partner and I, Jen, so we feel very like we believe that every way that we use our money, whether it's buying things, earning it, investing it, saving it, giving it to somebody, that it touches the world that we live in. Like everything we do, it affects the world and the world that we aspire to live in. So, and whether indirectly or directly. So we want to do everything we can to help our clients use their wealth to be in line with their values. And, I know you do a lot in your community and things, and you are passionate about certain things too. And so we want to help our clients live that way too, whether it's, living or investing in environmentally friendly companies, or we just launched a new gender lens portfolio where all of the companies that are in the portfolio have been screened and don't include any companies that have been fined for discrimination or have sexual harassment charges or things like that, or they have a certain number of women on the boards. And so we're very passionate about living and helping our clients live in alignment with their values. And as you touched on, we're authentic, we're down to earth, you know, it's our planning is for our clients, not for us. And a few swear words may slip out here and there, but we're going to be real and we're going to help them. So
that's awesome. I love that. And yeah, my clients, I don't, it's so funny because when it comes to cursing, like on here, I don't care. But, when I'm first meeting a client, depending on, I live in Lafayette, Indiana. So depending on, as soon as they drop the first one, it's game on. Because
yeah, I would agree with you
one,
on that.
But as soon as they drop the first one, then it is done. So,
well, it depends on the situation too.
Well,
but,
yeah.
Yeah. And we can really resonate and relate to executive women and entrepreneurs because we've been in that situation and we've dealt with loss, we've dealt with grief, we've dealt with positive things, we've raised families, we've bought houses, my partner's been through a divorce. So it's like it's real life. It's not just us saying, "Oh, you should do this and you should do that." We're the sandwich generation. So I'm dealing with my in-laws that are in assisted living and trying to sell a house and paying for their care while I'm trying to raise two teenagers and run my business at the same time. And that's what most people are doing, and we want to help them do it. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's because a lot of people, don't, not that they don't, realize what people are going through. I don't think they really think about it. I think, some people, some businesses, and, it doesn't have to be solopreneurs or entrepreneurs. It could be in general, like the user experience, right? People don't always think about, how it is forward facing. And when you've gone through those experiences, it's so important for that client to know that, hey, we've been where you are, and and we're going through it now. So I think that's awesome. I try
life's so confusing and complex anyway. So our role is to come in and simplify things as much as possible.
Right.
So what can we create systems? Can we automate things so that life is, your finances are the easy part of what's going on. So
right. Yeah, because that's so hard for so many people. And
Yeah.
it's funny you say simplify. I had um, my last few clients wanted to work with me because I simplified everything. I didn't get into all of the nuts and bolts and, talking about, although
Mm-hmm.
our conversation today was about meta tags and this and that. And he's like, can you kind of break that down for me?
Yeah.
And I totally did. And the only reason I talked about it was because of what he's working with an SEO person, and he's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
what do they mean by this? So I kind of, helped him kind of understand that. But I had somebody say to me, and it just has stuck in my head about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't care how you make the damn omelet. Just give me the omelet.
Yeah.
And it put everything in perspective. It was like, okay, so you don't care about that. So I'll just tell you, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. If you want to know any more details, let me know and I'll tell you. If you don't,
We used to call those ocean noises. When I worked in college sports, I was in charge of the production of the video boards, or just making sure the shows ran properly. And my guy that created everything for that would use all these terms, and my boss and I had no idea what he was talking about. We just wanted to know, how is it going to work? And so when he would start talking like that, we would just go, and then he would go backwards. And so we try to take the ocean noises out of money and make it easy and impactful.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're almost at an hour. I told you it goes fast, right?
Gosh, it does go fast.
It
Holy
does.
cow.
It goes really
Yeah.
fast. So okay, so we know your ideal client. And now, how do people find you? I know on LinkedIn we have
I see the ticker going. So
Yep.
our website is utorwealth.com. And on there are buttons all over, like where we can have we'll have a complimentary 30-minute consultation with anybody, just to learn about you, share about what we do, see if it's a fit, answer a couple questions. We like to call it like a fit call too. No charge for that. There's also a couple resources on there that people might enjoy. There's an investor, like what kind of investor are you? And it's like a 5 or 6 question quiz to see, are you really low risk, or do you like to take chances? There's another one that is more about a retirement calculator, where it asks you to plug in a couple things. But as you mentioned, a lot of people aren't even thinking about that right now. And I'm also on Instagram at the Carol Parrish too.
Cool.
I finally decided, it makes sense to make both of those the same name, right? As someone told me once, common sense ain't so common. So
it's definitely not.
And you, as a marketing person, you would know, that's kind of a given that you should do that. Well, I'm learning.
And it's all a learning process, right? We're all learning every day. So so thank you for taking the time to be on here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and the last
I could talk with you for hours. You're amazing.
I know, we could definitely, and same here, and we will. We'll be talking. But the last question that I ask all my guests is, what lights your fire? Whoo! And it could be anything.
What lights my fire?
Personal, professional, whatever. What lights Carol up?
There's a couple things. Like personally, I mean, my kids, but I spend so much of my time at their sporting events and at like high school events, because it's something I did and I love seeing them do it. And it gets me super excited. Professionally, just seeing the end result for my clients and seeing like them being able to live the lives that they want is all that I need to, it gets me going. And it lights my fire, as you say. It's just, I get so excited being able to share things with them, and experience that joy and help them through the hard times too.
Awesome. All
So
right, hang on one second. Again, thank you for being on. I'll get right back to you and everybody out
thanks.
there that's been listening or watching. Again, thank you. I appreciate it. I love you guys. You keep me going. If something, on here resonated with you, share it with a friend, like it, subscribe, download. When you subscribe and like it, actually, when you subscribe, you get a notification when a new episode comes out automatically. And then you don't have to guess or go looking for it. It'll come right back to you. But again, I really want to thank everybody for your support. And, until next time, go out, find what lights your fire. See everyone. Bye.